Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be another Canadian Soldier Reacts video, and today we're looking at inside the US military's largest mandatory dining hall, how the Air Force Academy feeds 4,000 cadets in 30 minutes. So let's give you a little background for me. So I went through CFRS Cornwallis, Canadian Forces Recruit School, Cornwallis in 1987. And at the time, I think there were approximately 15 platoons going through. Each platoon had an average of 120 people in it. So that is about 1,800 recruits, as well as probably a couple hundred instructors. The instructors actually ate in the same mess hall as we did. However, if they weren't the marching NCO, they had their own separate area. But the marching NCO would always eat with his recruits, and the marching NCO would always line up at the end of the line. In Canada, it is extremely important, at least in the infantry in the RCR when I was there, that the higher rank that you were, the farther back you stood in the line. So the section commander always was at the end of the section. The platoon commander was always at the end of the platoon. The company commander was always at the end of the company. That's just the way it works in Canada. The troops eat first, always. And when I was an instructor at CFRS Meaford, I would always eat at the back. I would go in, I would be the last person in to eat. And what I would tell them, and I think it's the same thing that my instructors told me. Some of them would give us timings, but others would tell us, you have as long to eat as I do. They would eat last, but when they get up, they would expect everybody else to be up and out and formed up before they get out of the building. So that's kind of the frame of reference that I'm coming at here. So let's take a look.
This is Mitchell Hall, one of the largest mass dining halls in the world. During lunchtime, 4,000 cadets eat here at the same time. And get this,
Wow.
it all happens in just under 30 minutes.
That was good
But how
posture
US Air
there.
Force Academy manages to seat and feed such a large group in such a short
Why
time.
they all stood up at
Why
the same
these
time?
cadets look so serious and formal while sitting at the dining table. Why all branches of the military serve half rats and double rats, but only the Navy serves mid-rat.
So rats means rations. Half rats means you're on half rations. Double rats means you're on double rations. I mean, the only reason I can see that you'd be on double rations would be if there's some medical reason for it. And actually, to be honest, even half rations, you'd need a medical directive to be on half rations. Mid rats, I have no idea what mid rats means. I know what combat rats is.
Which US military branch has the best food? And finally, how the US Navy solved the problem of food allergies for its sailors is not what you think.
I don't ever remember an issue of food allergies ever coming up in my training, processing through recruit school, battle school, in all my time at the battalion when I was an instructor. I don't ever remember a single case of a food allergy. I mean, that's not to say it didn't happen. I don't know, but I don't ever remember it. This is a little weird too, that all of their gas masks are hanging on hooks, and they're not labeled. We got issued our gas masks, and they were our gas masks. We kept them in our gas mask carriers. It was our responsibility to clean them after the gas hut, and keep them in good working order. So I don't know what that was.
On weekdays, cadets at US Air Force Academy, located just north of Colorado Springs, are required to dine in Mitchell Hall for breakfast and lunch. Dinner is optional. Since recruits have extremely regimented schedules,
Dinner is
they only
optional.
have
I think eating was always optional with us. I mean, you had to go into the mess hall and you had to go through the line. but no one ever monitored. Again, unless you had some sort of a medical reason, no one ever monitored what you ate. But you would always be marched to the mess hall. Well, not always, but during a training day, you would be marched to the mess hall, and you would be marched back from the mess hall. And then on the rare days, like there were a couple of weekend days that we didn't have any training. Not many, but a couple. And then we were allowed to make our way to the mess hall on our own or not, depending on what we wanted to do.
30-minute window between classes for meals. This means that they have 10 minutes to get in and out of the dining hall and a mere 20 minutes to eat. That's why everything is super organized and super formal.
What the?
The solution to feed 4,000 hungry cadets in such a short period of time is to have a giant 1.7-acre dining hall that hosts 400 tables with 10 people each.
Oh, that's a big hall.
That solves the seating part. But the plan to feed this hungry bunch started 8 weeks prior to this, and that's when the menu was finalized. On any given day, everyone receives the same meal.
That's interesting that the food is on the table. That's a little. We would go through steam lines, basically buffet lines, and it would be just a constant, like the cafeteria at your high school, right? You would walk through the line, and you were everywhere that you went in recruit school. You were told to move with a purpose, including the mess line. And as you're walking through, you're pointing to whatever it is that you want, and they're putting it on your plate as you continue to walk. And there's no indecision, there's no humming and hawing, there's no wasted time anywhere. If you don't make a decision, you are pushed through that line and you get nothing. So you tell them pretty quick. You learn pretty quick to make your decisions fast.
Although vegetarian options and meals with dietary restrictions are also available.
Yeah, so there were always different options, vegetarian options, things like that. But they were never even labeled vegetarian options, I don't think. It just said what they were and whether they were meat or not. In later years, they started color coding things as to how healthy it was for you, how much protein it might have had, or carbs or sugars or things of that nature. There was a color coding system. I don't remember too much about what it was.
Everything is delivered to Mitchell Hall via 2 loading docks and is then transferred to a 13,500 square foot storage area. And now the cooking routine begins.
I'm sure this is the same in every kitchen everywhere.
Preparations for lunch begin as early as 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Some of the food is prepped inside these giant 100-gallon kettles, while others are made inside huge ovens.
Yeah, I'm sure it's exactly
When the
the
meals
same
are
way
ready,
in
be it
Canada.
meatballs or salad, they are put on trays and then placed inside massive hot carts.
Oh, so without, yeah, I mean, the same kind of thing, except then they would bring them out to the steam line. Salads were sitting out on the steam line, or it might even have been a build your own salad, and it was the same thing. Is you've got seconds as you're being pushed by the different places to grab what it is you want, and you keep moving.
In order for the food to be served quickly, cutlery, cups, and all the cold food items such as bread, beverages, and salad are set on the tables in advance.
Oh, that's interesting. Our cutlery was at one end or the other, and again, you picked it up as you walk by. Bread was part of the seam line essentially, or there would be like some sort of a buffet table with bread on it, and if you wanted it, you grabbed it as you went by, and then you found yourself a seat somewhere. But there was none of this with tables. The tables were completely clear. The plates were at the end of the steam line, and you just literally you picked up everything as you moved. You sat down, you ate, then you picked up everything that you had, threw whatever it was you needed in the trash, put the rest on to the automated wash line. There was literally a conveyor belt for a wash line, and you just put your stuff on it and your utensils in the utensil bins, and it would just the conveyor belt would continually go through a dishwasher.
Then the hot carts are positioned by the tables prior to the cadets arriving.
That's
As
interesting.
soon as they announce, "Wing, take seats," wait staff have 5 minutes to deliver hot food to each table.
Wait staff. These guys have wait staff? Holy crap. Hey, look, there's a bottle of A&W root beer on the table. Okay, wait staff. Wow.
Here at the Academy, lunch is served family style. This includes 10 servings of each item, which are passed around the table by cadets.
That is highly inefficient. Highly inefficient.
Passing the food around the table builds camaraderie between cadets, which is the whole point of serving lunch family style.
Okay.
On average, male cadets eat up to
I
4,700
suppose I
calories,
can get that.
and female cadets consume 3,000 calories per day.
I'm sure
This
it's similar
higher
in
than
Canada.
average caloric intake compared to the civilian population is due to the extreme physical load on cadets.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's a cool
Now,
obstacle.
you don't
I've
have
never
to
seen
join
one like
the Air
that.
Force Academy just so you can enjoy chef-made quality meals.
There you go.
A unique aspect of Air Force Academy's dining experience is that it's literally by the book.
What?
Cadets are seated by squadron, and each table is organized with the upperclassmen sitting at the helm of the table, acting as table commandant.
So you have a class system at lunch, and you're getting served by servants. This has got to be officers. And I don't even know if that happens in Canada. I'm not an officer, so I don't know.
He or she can make you do stuff, like read contrails, ask you to pass utensils to everyone, or keep doing
So, what?
something over and over again.
Okay, in Canada we call that hazing, and that's illegal. Why would they do what?
The rest of the cadets are seated as they progress down the class all the way to the freshmen. who
Oh, there
sit
you go.
at the
So
foot of the
everybody knows their place, and nobody gets out of their place. Wow.
table. Freshmen are nicknamed doolies, which is Greek for slave or servant.
They call the new people slaves. I'm flabbergasted here, guys. I don't even know what to say. This, in my estimation, based on my training and my years in the infantry, this is idiotic.
In this context, their job is to pour beverages and pass the food around to everyone else. But don't worry, they still get a little bit of time to eat themselves. Doolies must sit up rigidly, which to someone like me looks extremely serious and almost robotic.
Oh, is that why?
They're constantly bombarded with questions by upperclassmen during their meal. Like, what does NASA stand for?
National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
As a dually, expect to be yelled at non-stop.
That drove have to tell me that you were looking around.
No excuse, sir.
Everyone else, pay attention. That is disrespect towards me and towards Kiakiano.
Yes,
I
sir.
won't tolerate it. Eat.
And a word of advice.
Oh my
When you
God.
receive your copy of Contrails, start memorizing it immediately.
Even
Contrails is
if you're a higher rank, an actual higher rank than the person, you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff. I mean, sure, the lower rank you are, the shittier end of the stick that you're going to get in jobs and duties, and there are things that you have to do, a private has to do that a corporal, master corporal, sergeant, warrant officer doesn't have to do. But to be berated like that by someone who, as far as I can tell, is the same rank as you, who's simply been there a little bit longer than you have, who's still a recruit. In Cornwallis, when I went through, somebody would have taken you out back and beat the ever-living crap out of you.
is a small handbook issued to new cadets, and it contains the history of the Air Force.
Okay.
It also won't be a
You need
bad
to learn it.
idea to
Sure.
learn the names, ranks, and duties of your upper-class men and women.
Right, I am the hot pilot, sir. Sir, the answer is I am the hot pilot, sir.
Expect more of the same in your second and third year. And only when you reach your senior year can you be somewhat at ease. Heck, you can even have some Gatorade if you want to, because you've earned it.
Wow.
But just getting 4,000 people to enter a cafeteria and be seated efficiently and quickly is an ordeal that deserves its own military formation.
I don't
The
even know what to say
preparation
here,
to get
guys.
into the dining hall begins in front of the dormitories, where cadet wings line up numerically by squadron at 11:30 in the morning. They then form the noon meal formation as they march across the terrazzo into Mitchell Hall, and that's while music is played by their drum and bugle corps.
Wow.
It's
Quite a
quite
production
a
at
show
a
for
lunch.
just wanting to have lunch. Historically, the noon meal formation dates back to 1905, when the U.S. Naval Academy started mustering their troops prior to lunch to make sure that everyone was accounted for. At the time, this was the most efficient way to ensure that all midshipmen were present.
Okay.
The U.S. Air Force Academy is
Your
not
your
the
marching NCO can do that for you. A single marching NCO can ensure that everyone in his platoon, his or her platoon, is there. And as I said, in Canada, the marching NCO brings everybody there, watches everybody go in, goes in last, and then gets up, comes back out, and they're all formed up waiting for him. And then he takes the count again to ensure that he's got everybody, he or she. And then you go on with your day. It's not that hard. I've done it thousands upon thousands of times. Granted, with about half as many people as are in this place, but it's just a matter of a bigger room and maybe a couple more steam lines. Like, it's not that hard, guys.
only academy that serves food family style. The U.S. Naval Academy.
I mean, the
and West
family
Point
style
Mili-
thing is interesting, but less efficient. And I don't know that it builds camaraderie as much as it builds cliques, right? Because if you're always sitting in that same 10 people, you're going to get very close with that. Well, you're either going to get very close with that 10 people or you're going to absolutely hate them because of the hazing that's going on. But then it becomes an us against them mentality, whereas each clique of 10 is pitted against the other clique of 10. Whereas we were going through as sections, I'll call them sections, of 30 people, and there were 4 of those in a platoon. And a platoon was 120 people. So our us against them mentality was 120 people strong. And we socialized in among the entire 120 people. And, there were still, you like some people better than others and you hated some people. There was a lot of that going around. Emotions are high when you're in recruit training. But I question whether that 10-person clique thing works.
Military Academy also serve food after everyone has been seated. At West Point, 3 meals per day are served family style inside Washington Mess Hall, where 4,000 cadets eat their meal in about 20 minutes.
Okay, so
Similarly,
they do this a lot.
those in the Naval Academy gather every weekday at King's Hall, which also accommodates 4,000 midshipmen. They
Okay.
get 25 minutes to have their
They're all
meals,
4,000
which
and
are
they're all
breakfast
under
and
30
lunch.
minutes. And they all seem to be doing the
You
same
may be
thing.
wondering which academy has the best tasting food. Now, I don't have any personal experience, but I do know that similar dietary standards are mandated to all the military branches.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
And the budget allowance in the Air Force Academy
be the
is
same.
the same as at Annapolis and West
Yeah,
Point.
I mean, that's just
But
military.
how's the military's food quality outside the
Ooh,
academy?
yummy. God, that looks good.
Aboard a warship, eat at the mess deck.
There
which
you
is
go.
pretty
That's
basic.
that's what I would have expected
Officers
to see.
eat at the wardroom, which has better seating and some additional amenities.
Yeah, I get that officers, when they're out of recruit training, I get that officers have a slightly higher standard in a lot of cases. Okay. You got to live with that. But when we were when we were on training, when we were out in the field, that kind of thing, the officers had basically exactly the same as everyone else. It was just when we were in garrison and they had their own mess hall, then I think they had servers and things like that. But they're obviously instilling that I am better than you attitude from, that master and slave mentality from the very beginning here.
But by far, chiefs have it the best.
Oh, that's
The
interesting.
chief's mess is somewhat exclusive and has the best food.
So the chief's mess would be the chief, I believe, in Canada at least, would be the chief NPO's mess, which is equivalent to the senior NCO's mess in the Army. In the Army. And in Canada, we have sergeants and warrant officers, which are equivalent to all of the sergeant ranks in the United States. What you guys have in the United States for warrant officers, we have no concept of that in Canada. Our warrant officers are senior NCOs. Our sergeant majors are a chief warrant officer first class. There's a chief warrant officer second class and first class, and that would be a company sergeant major and a regimental sergeant major. That's the way it would work. But the chief, maybe it's chief. It could be chief petty officer, or it could be whatever you guys call the 3 up, 3 down sergeant rank.
Food on the ships. This is
Oh,
because
on the ships?
chiefs
Yeah, it's chief
usually
and PO
manage
then.
to order their own food and get all the extras for their fine dining experience.
I mean, that looks good. You know,
A unique aspect of
I had a lot of good food. I got a lot of bad food too, but I had a lot of good food in the military.
dining on US Navy ships is that you're almost certainly guaranteed to have no allergies to the food. That's because people with food allergies are not accepted into the program in the first place.
Oh, that's interesting.
While it's possible to get a medical waiver and join the Navy with a food allergy, it is very unlikely, especially when compared to the other branches. And that's because it's difficult to provide allergy-friendly foods on a ship that's
Okay.
underway.
Yeah, I
Not
get
to
that.
mention that it would be nearly impossible to guarantee that the food served would not be cross-contaminated with allergens.
Oh yeah, especially in
As
a
a
small
result,
galley, right?
unlike other military academies, the Naval Academy
Whoa,
doesn't
whoa,
even
whoa, whoa,
bother.
whoa, one
As
second.
a result, unlike other military
Okay, I thought he had his
academies,
hands in his
the
pockets
Naval
for a second.
Academy
I was gonna
doesn't
go
even
ballistic.
bother catering to special dietary restrictions or allergies. That said, the U.S.
Throwing
Navy
cans
does
of something.
cater to the servicemen and women who do night shifts. MIDRATS stands for Midnight Rations. It's the food that's served
Oh.
at midnight for those who are starting their watch or being relieved from one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Midrats are more often than not the leftover food from dinner.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that would be a Navy thing, and I mean, I did overnight watches many, many times, and we might have gotten box lunches, but that would have been it. There's no such thing as hot food at midnight, or at least there wasn't when I was in. Not in not in 1RCR, or not in CFB Petawawa at all, or CFB London.
There's also half rats and double rats, but they're usually reserved for the recruits who are at the boot camp of any of the branches. If you're overweight, you will receive half rations or half rats to make you get in shape
Oh,
faster.
interesting. Yeah, I'm
If
pretty
you're
sure
bone-
they'd need a doctor's order to do that in Canada.
You may receive double rations or double rats. Now that's the kind of problem I'd like to have.
Yeah, that too. Oh, I like the fact that they're washing up before they go in.
Of boot camps, if you're in the US Army boot camp or just an enlisted soldier, you'd eat at Dining Facilities Administration Center, or DFAC for short. While the food varies between locations, it's generally compared to a cheaper breakfast restaurant. But don't worry, because when you're starving, food tastes delicious anyway. Even if you don't like it, you won't have much time to taste it, because it's as fast
Oh,
as
God,
15
yeah.
minutes from door to door.
Honestly, we would go in, we'd go through the steam line, we would sit down and we would shovel it in our mouths, always with an eye on the marching NCO, because as soon as he got up, we had to be up and out. And there were a couple of times I was chasing him out. Not very often, actually. Most of the time, I was done and out before he got up. But if I ever really got into a conversation at all, um, that I a couple of times I had to chase him out. And that's actually another thing about what they're talking about with the camaraderie thing. If they've got so little time to actually talk when they're sitting around this table with 10 people and they're being bombarded with their slave questions and the duties that the slaves have to perform, there's not a lot of camaraderie being built there. So, I just not a fan, guys, not a fan.
That said, recruits don't always go to DFACs for meals. They could also consume their MREs while in the field.
In the
But
field,
for
yeah.
those who do eat at the facility, all the food is color-coded as part of a joint
Oh, okay.
service
Yeah, we had a
food
similar thing.
identification program called Go for Green.
Yeah, in the
All
last
the
couple of
healthy
years I
stuff,
was there.
like vegetables would be labeled green. Meats and bread
Yeah.
would be yellow. And the good stuff, gravy, cheese, and chips, would be labeled red.
Yep.
With all this said,
And we basically never paid attention to that at all. When I was I was living in Petawawa, and I was living off base. I was a master corporal at the time, and I would get McDonald's Big Mac, fries, drink, 20 nuggets every single night on the way home from work, and that would be my supper. And I weighed 168 pounds with a 27-inch waist. It was just, we were just doing so much work that what we ate didn't matter at all.
which branch gets the best food?
Actually, that looks like it might be tasty.
Rumor has it that the Air Force has the best food out of all the branches.
Yeah, that's the rumor with us too. We always, well, I mean, look at that. Look at what they're doing right there. That's a one of those, what is it, Korean style barbecue places. That's some fancy stuff there.
One explanation for this is that the Air Force really focuses on the quality of life for their servicemen and women.
Oh, that's true.
For example, most branches transfer their personnel to new locations every 3 years to gain more experience and shuffle.
That happened a lot to officers. It didn't happen as much to enlisted ranks. I literally spent my entire career, 12 years, in 1RCR. Well, I mean, I had postings out to the recruit school, but I always came back to 1RCR.
Talent around the
detachments.
organization, so pockets of excellence don't stay in one place. But in contrast, the Air Force focuses on
it's
homesteading.
yeah.
That is, keeping their personnel at the same location for the long term. This results in savings that could be invested into better dining halls and golf courses. Now, that was based on my online research, so if you have first-hand experience, make sure to write us a comment.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's very different. So I don't know how officers do it. So if you're watching this and you're a Canadian officer and you know how dining works for Canadian officers in training, so this would be at RMC. RMC is Royal Military College, so they go there for 4 years, similar to what you just saw here. So if you have any experience with that, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to hear that. But I mean, the rest of what I saw there was completely foreign to me, and honestly, to my mind, it does more harm than good, or at least that's how I was trained. So anyway, thanks guys. That's going to do it for this one. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. We get thousands upon thousands of views on the videos here, but we've still got less than 1,000 people subscribed, and I would really love to get over that 1,000 subscriber mark. So, and as always, leave a comment down below if you got anything good or anything bad to say, if I screwed something up, or if you disagree with my opinion. Anyway, thanks guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.